Hello, church. Welcome back to Be Bold, Be Humble, Believe. Last week we talked about teenagers and how they're walled off from society. And so I'm hoping today to give you some solutions so that we don't allow young people to just get away with everything. We are not the government, but we can say things to the government. You should. You should call your congressman. You should call your governor, your mayor. You should call people and have a problem with this. Um, I mentioned about how my car was stolen. Of course, had to go report it stolen. Luckily, we found it not too long later. I was able to fix it up a little bit, and everything was okay with it. But that's not the norm. That is not the norm. Normally, it's found just absolutely destroyed. My brother-in-law's car, same type of vehicle, and it was absolutely demolished. And you know what? Those kids were probably never punished for the small things that they did, and they should have. And so, with just that alone, us as parents, when your child mouths off to you, there should be punishment. Now, I said child, but 8, 9 year old, there should be punishment because I'm not saying, well, they're going to be a murderer one day. But if we allow the small things, and it's easier and easier to correct now when they're small, and you can just make that little correction, it's much easier than when they're teenagers and they're doing bigger things that are much harder. Now you've got to go to the neighbor and explain what happened, why those windows are broken, or why they decided to break into their garage or something, just some crazy thing that they think they can get away with. And so, anyways, one thing that happens when we allow young people to get away with whatever they want when they're teenagers, the age of adulthood, especially in young men, young women a little bit, but definitely young men, gets much older. So we've pushed the age of adulthood way down into the future, especially in boys. So the ambition, the drive, goals for success in life, a desire to do something great, and to make a difference doesn't come until they're 15, 20 years later after becoming a teenager. When throughout the Bible you see young people doing things that are great all the time and powerful all the time. Of course, through God, mighty through God, but the Lord used young men. And so what now? They're finally getting some ambition at 30, at 28, 29, 30. They're realizing I should do something with my life. And a lot of times they already have a child in that scenario. The 28, 29, they have a child, they never got married, they just want to play video games, they want to do this or that, and there's no ambition. I was just talking to a couple guys this past week, and I was just shocked. I was just shocked at the lack of ambition. I was like, you just want are you going to do this the rest of your life? Asking them what they're doing and they're 27, 28, 29 years old, and there's no desire to do anything with their life. And so I would have to imagine that the devil's quite proud of that. Even Christian young men, no desire to do something great. I was just talking, and I have a sermon that's based along these lines, and I tell some illustrations. There are, of course, Indian tribes, and there was Indian tribes that they would send young kids out, 12, 13 years old. In order to become a man, you had to go hunt, and they would tell them, "You have to bring us back a wolf pelt in order to become a man one day." And so these kids would be gone for many, many days out in the woods doing these things, but a dad would prepare them for that. A dad would take them out. It wasn't like they sat behind a TV for the first 12 years of their life and had a phone at 13 and then they were thrown into the woods. No, they literally grew up doing this and then they're said, "All right, you're going to do it on your own." And so is that our fault? Is whose fault is that for allowing our kids to become weak and no ambition whatsoever? No, I think it may have a lot to do with how we treat them when they're kids. And so as they grow up, there's all sorts of rites of passage, and you can look that up. Even today, now and going on, that we're okay now. After you do this thing right here, not a 6-year battle you're going to fight. It's just one thing, one act that's going to be very hard, very difficult, very painful, whatever it might be. It's going to be somewhere there's some, you got to trust somebody. You got to trust this that you've built or you've made. If you do this now, here comes grandpa, or here comes great grandpa, or here comes dad, and now he's shaking your hand and telling you that you are now a man. So nowadays, there's a disgusting thing that happens, and oh, now you're a man because you know a woman, and now and that is not even close to it. The truth is, the least we are in the picture, the more of a man and the more of a grown up you are. The more I care about somebody else's well being before my own, the more of a man that you are. The truth is this. All right, here's some solutions. I'll give you a couple. First off, do not coddle. We must challenge. You've heard me say this. We've talked about this. I have given you pointers on this. But every parent nowadays is a helicopter parent. A man, young man, male, needs affirmation to become a man. And like I said, from the father, from the grandfather, and to in the distinct change in a boy needs to be that I am a man now, and that's confirmed by other men. Of course, nowadays, that's a problem. We've got grown men with families that doubt their manhood, and it comes out in their lack of confidence. It's all in their lives, their lack of ambition. If you pay attention to your adolescent son, he will be trying to be a man before he has proven manhood to you. He'll want to drive, he'll want to make money, he'll probably try to have a girlfriend or something along those lines. But the question for us is, at what point do you tell him that you're a man now? So for us, what is it? You are now a man. I've already told that to my son. I've already said that to him. He just turned 15. And but that was a couple years ago where I said he's more and more responsible for more things, and it's more personal to him. And I've had to sit him down and especially with the food. He's a teenage boy. He wants to eat food. He wants to eat, and that's his favorite thing to do. But hey, if your little brother, your little sister have not eaten, and you made the food, which he'll make food now, and he'll cook things, and if they have not eaten yet, but you ate, and you ate the lion's share of the food, are you really the man of the house? Oh, and there's a confirmation that I need to understand I need to put others first. And so there must be some kind of a rite of passage, and that confirmation from a young man, from his father, from his grandfather that he looks up to, that he knows that's a man. He needs that confirmation, that affirmation. And so the truth is, children will evolve to whatever environment we put them in. So if we coddle them, they will become that, even as adults. We must challenge them. And we must challenge them at every level. So Job was a great man, but how much greater was Job after the incredible challenge he faced, losing all of his children and everything else he had? That so now we challenge them with conflict, but that's a part of growth, especially in young men. We should be the ones challenging them. We should. We should put them in situations that are difficult. A basketball game, a soccer game, those sporting events where they're facing an opponent that might even be better, bigger, or stronger. This is why I love football and I love wrestling. These types of things, or especially wrestling, it's the option of, hey, there's nobody else that I can blame out here except for myself. I'm wrestling against one on one. I'm the one who should have. And so it's an ownership of what took place. Manhood needs to have that ownership. So there's just a few ways right there that we can help encourage the growth of a young man, and needing that affirmation from the man in his life, and or woman in the daughter's life. That is exactly what they need. Young men need that kind of confidence. And so do not coddle them, challenge them. And then, of course, we have the whole church. We have church options. There's many things that you can do with the church. The church should be answering questions such as, what are we doing? What's our purpose? How are we going to do it? There's a training part to this. And then, why are we doing it? Why are we doing that? And so those kind of questions, when a child, a young person asks those questions, there could be just pure curiosity and they want to know why. We need to understand there's not always just disrespect. The truth is they just want to know why. And so when they ask those questions, that's like discipleship in a church. And disciple your kids to be better men and women in the long run. I've got to be done. I hope that was a challenge to you and a blessing. God bless you. Have a great week.